this bad boy rocking. Okay. All right, folks. All right, my name is Jeremy Rettig with Adjuster University. And today is Macro Monday. Today we're going to be training with Xactimate. So I'm not here to teach you spiral staircases or how to use Xactimate in ways you'll never need to know, but how to practically use it efficiently so that you can close more claims at a faster rate. We're going to be streaming live today on Facebook. Go like and follow Adjuster University's page on Facebook so you can stay on top of all of our free training. And while you're over there, go and check out the Claims Adjusters Success Network private group so you can be in the group with other forward-thinking adjusterpreneurs. Now, while you're at it, go and check out the Adjuster University YouTube channel where we'll be live, where we're going to be keeping all of our live stream replays, but remember to subscribe to our channel so you can get notified whenever we go live. These trainings are very simple, but they can be very long. So it's important that you follow us on YouTube so you can come back later. Each training is divided into 3 parts: photos, sketch, and estimating. During our review of photos, I'll take you through all the photographs I captured during an inspection. We'll label and describe them together. We'll refer to my field sketch of the affected and possibly unaffected rooms, create a great sketch inside of Xactimate, and then we will transcribe all the damages into our estimate before finishing up with a beautiful, reader-friendly estimate, all thanks to our 6-figure macro. This is how I believe Xactimate should be taught. If you are inclined to agree and feel like you learned a lot from your time here, then I need you to sign up to Adjuster University's Xactimate GOLD Training Suite. Our Xactimate Training Suite is in beta, so that means it's currently in development. That means that you'll have lifetime access to training videos just like this one as they're developed. But because it's in development, you're going to get a massive discount. Other in-depth training courses from the industry's top names are going to run you over $1,000. But as an early adopter, you're going to be paying significantly less, and you'll always be able to return and rewatch as many times as you like with lifetime access here. So go check out the link in the description of this video and become an early adopter. Check out all of our training videos and start using the 6-figure macro and our no-time notes immediately. Okay, so let's get started here, folks. Okay, so here's what we'll be working with today. Obviously, we have a town home. All right, let's get rocking. Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to be dealing with a town home. Let me move this off the screen. Okay. So this is a winter weather claim. It is an ice damming claim. So ice damming in general doesn't always net very much damage. Sometimes it's just a little bit of water damage to a ceiling, maybe a little bit on the wall, very minor. This one did end up being a little bit more complicated just because there's a basement involved. It started at the top floor, worked its way all the way down to the basement. So on the top floor, second level, we had a contractor come in before we got there. It wasn't a restoration company. It was just a regular contractor, and they ripped out some of the ceiling that's there. There's a few more mitigation-related activities that you're going to catch through this one. So we have some water damage to the ceiling here, and a small area of drywall was already removed by the contractor. There's some more water damage, some more water damage. Okay, this photo here shows that the upper wall right by the affected areas did not possess any elevated levels of moisture. So if this contractor comes back and he says, oh, well, the water ran down the wall, we need to gut the entire room, or we need to take the walls down. Well, here's evidence that would suggest otherwise. So that brings us into this beautiful bathroom. We have our overview photos from each corner of the room, and some of the ceiling was removed there, some of the wall there. And what you'll notice here, what's a very important thing to point out, is that this wall is not a flat color. You see how it has sort of that textured sort of real fancy schmancy sort of feel. That is a faux paint. So we're going to need to know that because that's very important. That's really going to drive our estimate up. Not only because of the application of faux paint, but because in order for us to maintain a reasonably uniform appearance, in order for us to bring this loss back to pre-loss condition, we're going to need to seal the entire room and put a new application of faux paint on it. So this photograph here shows that the elevated levels of moisture did not compromise the tile surrounding the bathtub. So we're just further documenting that everything is dry. Now, this bathroom has a little water closet. It's just a little offset, a little separate room with the toilet inside. Now, what I took this picture because generally speaking, if one room is affected, you don't paint another room, even if that same room has the same color. That's the general rule of thumb. However, I'm going to make a case that we should go through this doorway and paint that wall because the faux paint is a very unique appearance. It's a very unique color. If it was just a different color or a flat color, I would never paint this entire room. We can match that color, but it's going to be very difficult to match this style. So I'm going to make a case that even though this faux paint is not continuous into this room, we should paint it anyway because it is still an integral part of the bathroom. So that brings us to our first floor. Now, water came in through the front exterior wall, which is completely separate from what we were looking at, and just caused some separation at the seam between the ceiling and the crown molding here. And you can see, and inside the crown molding, you can see a little bit of discoloration there. And then the ensuing water went down and caused the latex paint to become inflated. That's what gives it that sort of ripply look there. So back to the rear exterior wall, and this is directly beneath the bedroom that we observed. Now we got some more water damage there, more separation there, more discoloration on the crown molding. Okay, now the contractor, while we were out there, started talking about the faux paint that's inside of this room, suggesting as if this faux paint is going to be compromised by the ensuing water. And this photograph shows that once again, everything is dry. We are likely not gonna need to disturb the faux paint in this room. So back up. All right, photographs of the kitchen only for the purpose to show that the ceiling inside the affected living area runs continuously into this kitchen. Now that brings us to this little office area. It's not really an office. I'm going to call it an office because whenever I'm dealing with a room, just a regular room that doesn't have a closet, I just consider that to be an office. I keep my photo labeling as simple as possible. So the contractor inside this room removed all of the ceiling drywall and some of the upper wall here. Now, while we were out there, the contractor said again that we're probably going to need to demo this entire room. But moisture readings negated that. Moisture readings overcame that suspicion. And so here we have the wood floor. I took the best photos I possibly could, showing that right along that wall, the wood floor had started to buckle up. Here's a good one here. Okay. So now what this is going to do, because we're going to be repairing wood flooring in here, let's go back up. This wood floor runs through our living room. And more so, it runs through this front room here. I have this just documented as a dining area. So it ran through here. So we're going to need to sand and refinish all the wood floors through here. Now that brings us to the basement level. Things are pretty easy in the basement. This is our little landing area. We got a living area here. And that brings us into this little dining area here. The only thing that happened in this dining area is the contractor removed some of the suspended ceiling tiles that was there. One other thing happened too. We have some just mild inflation to the paint of the drywall. and the water ran down and caused some staining to the carpet right there. And last but not least, had a little personal property loss. This beverage refrigerator, which was plugged into the wall. There's your outlet right there. Apparently the outlet is no longer working. Okay, and the refrigerator is no longer working. Both were tested while I was out there, and neither one of them are turning on. Some carriers may want to send out an electrician or something crazy like that. I'm not going to entertain any of that. I'm just going to replace the outlet and replace the refrigerator. If they want to come back later and tell me to revise, okay, that's fine. So that brings us to our sketch. So those are all our photos. So now let's drop our photos inside of our estimate and get this thing rolling. All right, now as always, we start labeling our photos and then we go back to describe. Now, if you have not watched any of these videos in the past, I use a lot of hotkeys and I use my keyboard as much as possible when I'm labeling my photographs, and I'll show you why. I click on the image, not the outside. Now, if you notice, as you're toggling around in Xactimate's photo report, look at my cursor. If I'm outside of the image or the image's name, I have this cursor, but once I get inside, I have the little pointer guy. Now, they have two different functions there. If I just select this with the normal cursor, nothing happens. But if I select this one with the pointer cursor, the image name becomes highlighted. That eliminates a step for me. So I always click on the image itself. Now from there, I can just begin typing, risk. Now, I'm going to click on the next one. Now, all of these photographs here, the next several photographs are going to be of the bedroom. Then we're going to follow into the bathroom. Now, it's always important that you take your photographs in a specific order, an order that you're used to, because then you'll always know what room comes next. Now, I'm going to move around my photo report using the arrow buttons. I'm going to utilize the shift button when I want to select consecutive in a row. If I need to cherry pick or select certain ones, I'm going to hold the control button down and select which ones I want. Now, so let's get started. I'm going to select this photo, hold the shift button down, use the right arrow to go to the very last bedroom photo. Now I'm going to move my mouse cursor right over where underneath image name, various variables, and I'm going to do my best to kind of leave my cursor right there because I'm going to do a lot of clicking. So I'm going to double click that. Now I get to change all the names. Boom. And then I'm going to move to the next one. Bathroom. Then I'm going to move to the next one. Here is our dining room. Move to the next one. Living room. Move to the next one. Kitchen. Office. We'll call this one our landing area. These two pictures, that's our landing area. And now we have another living area. So whenever I have multiple of the same type of room, I try not to, I say try, I don't come up with different names for them. For instance, a living room or the great room, family room, all these sorts of similar names for the same type of room, I don't entertain that because that gives me just too much thought process. And I want to get through these with as little brain power as possible. So I'm going to rename this living room 1. And I'll come back down. And this is just simply going to be living room 2. I'm going to do the same thing for the dining room. This is no longer just a dining room. This is dining room 1. Bam, there we go, dining room 2. And then some personal property photos. This is a duplicate. I didn't like the way this one came out, so I'm going to get rid of that by selecting and hitting the delete button. And then these 3 photographs, I'm just going to call personal property. Okay, so we've got everything labeled. Now we're going to go back and begin to describe them. So I'm going to select all of my second level photographs first. I'm going to give everything the same name for now. You should never let everything stay or give everything the same description. You want to keep your descriptions as varied as possible to a certain degree. You don't want to do new descriptions for every single image. If you end up doing that, you're either doing one of two things. You're either taking too few photographs where that makes sense, or you are spending way too much time on your photo report. It's one or the other. So I always start with broad descriptions, and then I start to change them up. So my most broad description here is, this is an overview photo of the affected room. Now, since mitigation of some sort was performed, I'll also put water mitigation was completed prior to our inspection. Now, hotkey time. My cursor is still blinking there. So I'm going to hold the control button down and think air conditioning. Hold control, A, C. A means select all, C means copy. Now we have that entire verbiage copied. Now, I'm going to move over to our first floor rooms. I'm going to select all of them. I'm going to go down in my description, Control V, which is paste. Now we have the exact same wording that's down there. The only thing that I want to change here is I'm going to change second level to first level. Now you can imagine what I'm about to do on the basement. Paste it in, change second to basement. Now just like that, all of our second, first, and basement level photos are labeled, but they're not, described, but they're not described that well. So now we're going to go back and begin to describe them. Look at our ceiling photos. We'll take the photos that was done, the photo of the mitigation related work that was done by the contractor. And first we'll call that water mitigation included the tear out of. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to copy all of that. AC, Control A, C. Now, I'm going to come back now and finish that off. Tear out of select ceiling materials. Now, before I go anywhere else, I'm going to focus just on the photographs that show what the contractor did before I got out there on the second floor. That brings us to the next room. Here are our photos of the torn ceiling and wall materials. I'm going to paste that in there and say water mitigation included the tear out of select ceiling and wall materials. All right, I'm going to now go to the second floor. We're gonna come back. We're gonna basically exhaust the use of this tear out note. We're gonna go here to our dining room or office, paste it in. Now I want to change second to first. Now let's say included the tear out of all ceiling and select wall materials. Beautiful. So what's next? The only other mitigation related activity was the removal of some of these suspended ceiling tiles. So I'll drop that in, change first to basement. Water mitigation included the tear out of select suspended ceiling tiles. Okay, so all of our mitigation related activities have been documented. So now let's go back. Here are photos of the little bit of water damage on the ceiling. Staining was observed over the ceiling materials. Okay. It's important to say staining, because in this case, I'm not going to be removing or replacing any additional drywall because it's dry at this point. And the insurance, unless I can document that it's not dry, which I was unable to, the insurance carrier is going to have a hard time reconciling how the contractor came in, set up equipment, ripped out wet drywall, and now you're coming in and saying that more of it needs to be torn out. They're not going to really go for that. So, and it doesn't make sense for them to. So everything else, there's no staining. So then that brings us to these photographs that we took of there being no moisture. So let's select all of the second level photographs. Now let's write in there was no moisture detected within the surrounding materials. Boom. Okay, this photograph here I took just to show walls are covered with faux paint. Beautiful. Now here's the bathroom, that water closet. Now let's write faux painted walls. Now I don't want to use the word matched. Unless you're in a matching state, matching is a very strange word to use. It's a word that insurance companies don't like. They don't like matching. So let's say full painted walls are uniform with the bathroom's closet. Okay. Now here are photos of the separation of the crown molding and the inflated paint beneath. Now let's write water damage was observed over the ceiling and upper wall materials. That's it. Now I'm going to take this entire statement again. AC. I'm going to select the photographs that we have of the ceiling and crown molding inside living room 1. I'm going to paste that in, but instead of writing upper wall materials, I'm just going to write ceiling materials, just delete. Now that we're in the second floor, let's take the photographs that we captured of our 0 moisture meter readings, and we're going to use the same verbiage. There was no moisture detected within the surrounding materials. Every chance I get, I want to just copy and paste verbiage that I already wrote. That's going to save me time in the end. Now here are our hardwood photos. Water damage was observed over the hardwood floor. There we go. If you notice, my descriptions are very much the same often. What type of damage? Water damage. Where was it observed? There was reserved. Water damage was observed over the hardwood floor. Direct and to the point. Don't worry, you're going to describe it a little bit more in your written report. For right now, let's just get the point across. Then that brings us into the basement. Now, this landing area in the basement, there was no damage here. So instead of saying this is an overview photo of the affected room, I'm just going to write unaffected and get rid of this water mitigation statement. Then that brings us into the living room. Same thing, no damage here. So here's what we're actually going to write for both of them. This is an overview photo of the unaffected room. Suspended ceiling tiles are uniform with the affected dining room 2. Now I'm writing uniform, and here's why. Because when you look at this photo, there's a missing wall up here. It's technically not continuous. But I'm going to make a case to replace all of these suspended ceiling tiles. It may not work, but I'm going to make a case for it. Because at the end of the day, as an adjuster, you want to find them coverage and you want to get them what they deserve. And if they have this type of suspended ceiling tile and they can't match it, and I'm using the word match, then I believe that they deserve to be brought to pre-loss condition, which means that they have a consistent type of suspended ceiling tiles throughout that area. Yes, there is a 8-inch separation, a 6-inch separation between 2 planes of suspended ceiling tile, but I'm going to make a case that we should disregard that. Of course, as an independent, we likely don't have the final say. So here we go. For these images here, I want to write, this is an overview photo of the unaffected room. Suspended ceiling tiles are uniform with living room, with dining room 2. Okay, now here's our dining room 2. Water mitigation included the removal of select ceiling materials. Here we go. Water damage was observed over the wall materials. Now here's the carpeting. Staining was observed over the carpet floor covering. and then our personal property photos. Refrigerator failed due to the ensuing water within the wall cavity. There we go. Now we're done with our photos. Now, one beautiful thing that I want to mention about these photos is that there was a step that was not involved here. And if you've noticed, and when you can exclude this step from your photo labeling process, it just helps the overall process get done. And if you notice, what I did not do at any point while labeling these photos is reorganize them. That's because I was able to take all of my photos in the order that they should have been in. The only exception that you could maybe say was that one photo that I deleted of the mini refrigerator. That's it. Everything else was done perfectly the first time. So now that this is all done, we always renumber, because if you move one out of order, then your first photo becomes 2, your second photo becomes 1. That's no bueno. So you always want to renumber. Make sure that is renumbered. Make it a habit to click that button a few times. Click it during it, click it after it, doesn't matter. Click it a million times. You don't want to be a Momo that has photos that are out of order. It's a rookie move. So with that, we are done. We hit the X, that automatically saves. And as a force of habit, I always come up to the upper left corner and save it myself, just to make sure that I'm not going to lose any of my work. And that brings us to the second phase of our estimate building, our sketch. Okay. Hopefully everybody caught some good little nuggets there. We're going to reset the room, if you will. All right, we've got a couple. Remember, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in, and I will answer them in between sections of this lesson. Ooh, feeling good, feeling good. Who's with me at 8 a.m. Eastern time? What's up, people? Okay, so we're going to reset this real quick. Guys, if you are just coming in, I'll let you know right now. My name is Jeremy Rettig with Adjuster University, and today's Macro Monday. Today we're going to be training with Xactimate. Now, I'm not here to teach you how to do spiral staircases or how to use Xactimate in ways that you'll never actually need to know, but how to practically use it to efficiently and effectively close more claims at a faster rate. And that's really what matters, right? So we're going to be streaming today on Facebook. So go like us and follow us on the Adjuster University Facebook page so you can stay on top of all of our free trainings. And while you're over there, go check out the Claims Adjuster Success Network private group so you can be in the room with other forward-thinking adjusterpreneurs. And now while you're at it, go check out the Adjuster University YouTube channel where we keep all of our live streaming replays. But remember to subscribe to our channel so you can get notified whenever we go live. These training sessions are super simple, but they can be very long. So it's important to follow us on YouTube so you can come back later at any time. Each training is divided into 3 parts: photos, sketch, and estimating. During our review of photos, I'm going to take you through all of the photographs that were captured during the inspection. We'll label and describe them together. We'll refer to my field sketch. We'll of the affected and possibly the unaffected rooms. We're going to create a great sketch inside of Xactimate, and we'll just transcribe all of the damages that we saw in the photographs into our estimate before finishing up with a beautiful reader-friendly estimate, all thanks to the 6-figure macro. This is how I believe that Xactimate should be taught. And if you're inclined to agree with me and you feel like you've learned a lot during your time here, then you need to sign up to Adjuster University's Xactimate GOLD Training Suite. Our Xactimate Training Suite is in beta, which means that it is currently in development. That means you'll have lifetime access to training videos just like this as they're developed. But because it's in development, you're going to get a massive discount. Other in-depth training courses from some of the industry's top names will run you over $1,000. But as an early adopter, you're going to pay significantly less, and you'll always be able to return and rewatch as many times as you like with lifetime lifetime access. So go check out the link in the description of this video and become an early adopter. Go check out our training videos inside and start using the 6-figure macro and no time notes immediately after getting access. So, here we go. So now we are going to get ready to transition to the next phase. We're going to start doing our sketch. Boom, there we go. Okay. Let's get ready here. Okay. And away we go. All right, folks. So this brings us to our sketch. So I have sketch divided into two little different sections right here. All right. So my sketches lately have been a little bit sloppy. So we're going to make sense of this. Now, one thing that I'm a little bit worried about is my lack of measurements right here. This kind of concerns me, but I'm hoping that we can find a little bit of a workaround by putting our room together in the opposite direction, kind of getting every measurement done other than these. And I'm hoping that with this measurement here and all of these measurements there, that we can go ahead and kind of figure this out on our own. So I'm going to move this guy right here. Now we're going to start out, as always, by dropping our 6-figure macro in. Now this 6-figure macro is a little bit different than what we normally have. And the reason is this particular carrier is a little bit picky on how they like their estimates to be developed. So I really made some big changes to this 6-figure macro to accommodate them. I personally don't like how they come out, but at the end of the day, they're the ones who pay the bill, you know? So we're gonna give them what they want. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna share the screen between my sketch and my Xactimate by doing this. Boom. Okay, so let's get started here. So we're gonna start, this is our second floor right there. And as always, I really enjoy taking a picture or having my sketch one way or another on my screen so I don't have to deal with pictures. Oh, let me get you in. There we go. Okay, so here we are. We're going to get started here. So first easy one that I'm going to do is this bedroom right here. 19.3, 15.8. Let's start easy. Bring this over to 15.8, grabbing my little marker. Grab this one. Let's click and drag down to 19.3. Beautiful. Move this guy over. Now we're going to start to make this room. Easiest way to do it, grab this wall, select it, hold the control button down, grab my marker. Holding the control button down, I stretch it out. Now we have a second room. Now, what I kind of notice, what I like to do, when I have a room that has a whole bunch of different angles and measurements and stuff like that, man, I'm just going to go to the wall tool and I'm going to put together the general framework. Excuse the pun here. I'm not going to pay attention to measurements so much right now. I'm just going to get the overall idea going. There we go. So then from here, I can zoom in and start making things make sense. 2.6, 2.5, 10.5. So I want this 2.6. I want this 2.5. I want this 10.5. 2.6, 2.5, 10.5. There we go. Then this comes down 9.10. Then we have a little wall here. That's because there's a little shower right there. So this comes down 9.10. So I'm going to make my little wall, which comes out 3.3. Now, it's a little bit difficult to place this wall where you want it because Xactimate will not tell you as you move it what the wall length here is. So you just have to keep going back to check. 9.8, we're just about there. What about right here? 9.10, beautiful. And this comes out 3.3. And then this wall comes out 5'3". So I'm just going to go ahead and select this area here and hit the delete button so I don't have to deal with it. Now this 5'3" should turn into 3'11". Click on my marker and it's not moving. It's locked. This is bad news. Now, this isn't so much about something that, I mean, it's because of something I did. It's because of this missing wall, but it's also because of Xactimate and its clunkiness. So if I delete this wall, can I move it? Yes, I can. So now let's do a little bit of math in our head. So this wall, that wall that I just deleted was 4 inches thick, okay? 4.5, technically 5 inches, 5 inches thick. So, but Xactimate will account for 4. So if I were to add 9 feet 10 inches plus 4 inches, that brings me to 10.2. Then I add in my 3'11". That's going to bring us to what? 14.1. Is that right? Yeah, right? 14.1, I believe. So then I want this to be 14.1. And there we go. Now from here, we can drop our wall in. But before we do that, we're going to run into one little problem, and I'll show you what. If we drop our wall in there, right? Let's make it 3'3". Now we're going to be painting the walls in this room. Let's go back to our photos. Okay, we're going to be painting the walls in this room because of the faux paint. Now, what we don't want to paint is the tile in the shower stall, okay? So we're going to need to create a reference block. And the reason why I stopped our lesson is because we're going to run into a problem. If we use the reference block up here and drop it in, we will not be able to bring it flush against that wall. Unfortunately, Xactimate, for as long as they've been around, they haven't figured out how to make it so that we can just click and drag this right there. But there's a little bit of a workaround. Now, it's important to remember that if you run into this problem, it's because of that rando wall. It's because of this wall that we created that we can't drop a reference block in and stretch it to that wall. Keyword, you can't stretch the block to that wall. But what you can do is select the block and move it to that wall. Then from there, you can stretch it to the regular wall. Very nuanced, weird thing. Okay, so we've got that. So now let's go back to our sketch. Right here. Okay, so let's finish these measurements. 6'6", 6'2", 210. Watch this. 6'6", 6'2", 210. And this comes out to 4'5". We have right here, it looks like a 4'11". So I'm going to keep that as is because everything else just makes perfect sense here. So there we go. Next step, we name our rooms. Bedroom, bathroom. Now we have this little water closet here. Now, if you were paying attention before, technically, oftentimes, they don't want this closet to be a part of the paint in this closet to be a part of the separated bathroom here. So, but we're going to include this in. Now the question is, do we make this a subroom where all of our calculations for the bathroom are going to be the same as this little closet area where we really just make the whole thing one room, even though technically it's 2 rooms? Well, here's how I'm going to decide that. First, I'm not going to drive my decision in deception. I don't want to trick my way into getting them what they want. I'm going to look at this room here. Before we go any further, here's what I'm going to do. I want to make it so that I can just use the letter W for the walls when I'm doing my calculations and get all of the wall surfaces that aren't blocked by something big, like all the tile around this tub. So I'm going to go ahead and take this reference block. First, I'm going to name this reference block because we never leave it. Called block 1. Call it shower stall. Bring it to the correct height, 7. Make sure all the appropriate things are deducted. I'm going to copy it using Control C. Then Control V allows me the ability to paste it. I'm going to drop it right here. And this comes out, looks to be about 5.5 feet. Let's call it 5 feet. That's pretty good. And it comes out 6 feet this way. Beautiful. Now I'm going to make this little slant here by using the letter V. Just press the letter V and that gives us our vertex tool. I'll bring it out about 2 feet. Drop it in there and that creates this deal. So I'll take this marker and shift it over. There we go. Now I'm going to adjust the height here and just call it 2.5. I'm sorry, let's call it 2.5. Bathtub. Here we go. So now we're not accounting for any of the wall surface where the tile is. Now I could do the same with the vanities. Vanities are much smaller. They're not that big of a deal really, but we'll drop them in there anyway. There we go. 2 feet. Vanity. Bring this up 3 feet. Do the same, copy, drop it right there. Stretch it out. There we go. Now we're blocking all the non-faux painted surfaces of the wall. So now that we have that, I'm just going to call this one water closet. Now I'm going to make it a subroom. I'm going to do the show label, no, so that we don't see it. And I'm going to make it a subgroup of the bathroom. And I drop my door in. There we go. So now when we calculate the wall square footage for this bathroom, it's going to automatically assume this room as well. We drop our window in. Boom. Now we got a door, little closet door right here. It's very small, so I'm not just going to press the letter D and drop it in. There we go. Drop our door, letter D, boom. Back to our sketch. Okay. We got another door right here. This is why it's so important to make sure that you put your doors and whatnot in your sketch so that you don't have to constantly refer back. All right, so we have a 9-foot window right here. Boom. Door here. And I'm dropping doors just by hitting the letter D on the keyboard. And that gives me a standard door. Now I want a double door right here. Easiest way to do that, as long as the standard door is selected, I can hit D, click, and drag. As long as it's 4 feet, between 4 and I believe 7 feet, I'll get a double door. And then I can just adjust the size. Here we go. Now this particular carrier, they just sent me a rejection where they want water damage annotated with X's. They don't like my arrows. That's fine. Now we can do that by just going to this little annotation button up here. Now from here you can do arrows, you can do text, you can do shapes, you can get all sorts of crazy. And that craziness is really at the discretion of the carrier. So what I do, we have this little note, water damage equals X. Now I copied my one little lone X so that I can start pasting them like this. Control V, Control V, Control V. Get rid of all these. Now let's drop some Control V's where we saw the water damage. It was around here, and it was around here. Here we go. Another note, if you see my cursor right now, it had the little twirly thing that it was thinking. Xactimate will crash on you a lot. It's important to have your autosave settings set so that you're constantly saving your work. But even when you're not, whenever I see that pop up, I make a mad dash to save, 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 save. I'm running on a very good laptop, but it will still crash on you. Anyway, second floor is done. Let's jump over to the first level. All right, now remember, missing these two measurements here. So I'm going to work counterclockwise. I'm going to avoid these at all costs for right now. Let's start in our office. So 10, 10, 5, 1, 6, 5, 2. Here's how we'll do it. Let's zoom in. We'll make this wall, instead of 12, we're going to make that our 10, 10. Then we're going to use our square break, the letter B, and we're going to select, I don't care where, right here. And we're going to click and drag this down 1, 6. And we're going to make sure our other wall is, instead of 5, 6, we just want to make sure that that's set to 5. Then we got 5, 2 over there. Boom, done. Now let's move on. Now I'm going to do like I did before. Got a lot of angles here, a lot of craziness. I'm not going to go bananas with my square break and try to become Picasso. I'm more of a Bob Ross kind of guy. I'm just going to kind of have a little fun. Just sketch it out. Try to make things make sense here. Use our wall tool. All right. See how we got this coming? How's that look? Something like that, right? Okay. So from here, we're going to mess around. Now I am probably going to have some issues because of these walls that are just sticking out there, but we're going to try our best to make this make sense. So what we want here, first I want this wall to be flush. It looks like that was my intent right here for one flush wall. So I'm going to make sure that that is flush. Okay, then it comes down 3, 8. So we need to make this a little bit longer. There you go, there's 3, 8. This wall comes out 2, 4. We could change that. 2, 4. Bring this wall up, snap it back into place. Now this wall should be 7, 2, but it's not going to give me the full length. So I'm just going to keep checking back. Keep checking back. Keep checking back. 7, 6, I went too far. Bring that back in. 7, 4, just a smidge. Just a smidge. 7, 4, give me a little bit. Give me a little bit. 7, 3, I just want a little bit more, just a little bit. 7, 2. Okay, then we come down how far? 10, 6. Oh, I can't click and drag this thing because of this dang wall right here. Let's move it over. We'll get back to that. Bring this down 10, 6. There we go. Beautiful. I'm just going to move this back into place, and we're going to do the same thing. Grab this wall. Where's my 10, 6? 10, 2. 10, 8. Oh, I just keep getting 10, 8. 10, 6. This comes out 10, 2. Shorten this up. 10, 2. Then this comes down 11/8. Comes over 10/2. Goes up 1/9. Shoots over 7 feet. Now, I can't really get, if you have run into a situation here where like you want 7 feet, but you keep going from 7/1 to 6/11, sometimes you can fix that just by zooming in, but sometimes you won't. Don't waste your time. Just click it, put the number 7 in. 7. All right, then 10/11 going up. We're going to have, there we go, 10/11. 3/6. So now we're going to have a little trouble here. So let's just grab this one little wall, bring it close. We want 3/6, 3/7, 3/7, 3/5, 3/5. Come on. Usually I won't. 3/6. There we go. Usually I won't spend that much time messing around with something like that. Now we're going to move that. Now when we move this wall here, we're going to lose. If we move this back to snap in here, we're going to lose that little wall that we have. We're going to lose this. So I'm just going to take this wall, extend it down so we have a little bit more space to work with. Then I'll bring this snapper into place. Now we want this overall wall to be 4/11. So we're going to shorten it up. 4/7, 4/10, 5, 4/10. I'm just going to stop it at 5. There we go. Beautiful. This wall here, 2/9. All right, we're getting close to this. Now we're at 2/9. Now that brings us to one last measurement, which is this 10 feet right here. Now with this measurement, that should be it. Everything, then one last one, the length of this long wall, which I have, so I measured 31/2, the entire wall. But then the kitchen's divided by a wall that's like a 14/3. It looks like I tried to write. So I want this to make sure that this long one here is 31/2. There we go. And with that measurement, I don't need these two. Now, one last thing. I want to put my wall in here. 2 feet, 5 inches. There we go. And I want my kitchen, inside this kitchen area, to be 14/3. 14/2. 14/3. I'm not going to waste any more time on that. There we go. How about that? Beautiful, right? You'll spend more time trying to figure that out with square breaks and square rooms than you would just putting the overall idea together and then just going from there. Now, one quick thing. Now, what you notice, though, we have one room. This is all one room, but I want 3 rooms. You got living room 1, we got the dining area, and we got the kitchen. So how are we going to do that? That's the easiest thing ever. Let's go back to our wall tool. I'm going to create a wall, and I'm going to just kind of wall off certain areas. Now, Xactimate, I'd like to get this wall to go to this tip right here, but Xactimate won't let me do it. Here's how I'm going to avoid that. If you use, while you're doing this, it's just going to snap it into different angles here. You know, it's not very flexible. It's not very fluid. But all I'm going to do, if you hold the shift button down, that'll let you really start to mess with it, and it will snap into place like right here. There we go. Now you got 2 rooms. I'm going to do the same thing right here. I can't snap it in without using the shift, so hold shift down, and that gives me the ability to swing it around. Bam, there we go. Now I'll just delete these. Highlight the wall, hit the delete button. There we go. So now I do have this foyer area here. Now the reason why, now I don't even actually really have any good photos of the foyer. It's really just a part of the dining room, but the only thing is that there's no hardwood flooring right there. Now I'm going to be sanding and refinishing all the hardwood floor throughout here, but I'm not going to do anything to the tile floor that's in the foyer, but I'm going to also be painting the ceiling, which runs continuously through this whole area, including the foyer. So that's why I included that. So I'm just going to make my foyer by selecting this wall, holding the control button down, clicking the marker right here, and just dragging it out. It creates another room. I'll grab my wall, adjust it accordingly. There we go. But same deal here. I want to get rid of these walls. And there it is. Now let's make our rooms. Foyer, dining room 1, living room 1, kitchen, office. Okay. Let's drop our door into the foyer. Window right here, 7.5. Beautiful. Now this wall here, let's talk about this wall real quick. Go back to our photos of the dining room. That wall is like that. How do we make that? How do we make it? It's not really a missing wall. It's almost like a window opening, you know? But we have this in right now as a flat wall. So how do we make that? Here's what we could do. The M button on your keyboard initiates the missing wall tool. So we can click and drag this. So I'm going to bring this out. This is about a little less than a foot from the end. And it comes out to, call it about 2 feet, right? Something like that. So we drop that in. Now we have a missing wall, but it's not exactly what we want. Let's see if it shows up in 3D mode. It's almost like a missing wall that you would walk through. So we can manipulate that, but just by double-clicking the actual missing wall, we can change things around. Now, before we change this around, let's make sure that our ceiling height is correct. We have 9-foot ceilings throughout here. So I'm going to highlight all my rooms. Click on the properties and adjust my ceiling height from 8 to 9. Now, these measurements, these calculations will make a little bit more sense. Double-click on the missing wall. Our width is fine. Base height is what we need to worry about because this is currently set at 0, which means that you can basically walk through it without worrying about tripping, okay? But we want to raise this up about 3 feet. Now, if we do that, we get a little error. The error is because if you add the 3 feet that we're putting on top of the 6'8" of the opening, then that is a bigger opening than the wall even will allow. The ceiling height is too low. It won't figure it out for you. So do a little quick math. We have a 9-foot ceiling. We want to deduct 3 feet for the base height. What's 9 minus 3? That's 6. So let's move this from 6'8" to 6. We'll make our base height 3. That goes in perfectly. Now let's look at it again. How about that? Looks pretty legit, right? There we go. So we've got that. Okay, get back to our sketch. Here we go. All right, we have, now, this little area here. What this doorway is a doorway into the basement. Now, the reason why I included that is because the staircase starts about right here. But in this area, right when you walk in, that's the same hardwood floor that you're walking on here. It's the same hardwood floor that we're going to be sanding and refinishing. So I'm going to square this off with my wall tool. There we go. Now we got another room. But I want to make this room, I'm just going to call it, we'll call it entry. Doesn't matter. We're going to make it a sub-room of the dining room 1, and we're going to remove the label. We're also going to remove the wall. There we go. So now we have floor calculations inside this area. Okay. Let's move over to the office. Drop our door in, drop our window in. Window is just the letter W, and you can manipulate the sides from there. Another window right here, 6 feet. You got another window here, 2 feet. You got a standard window over here, 2.5 feet. Then we have a bypass door, 5 feet. Now, if you notice, whenever I can, I don't try to click and drag and manipulate. I just drop it in, hit the button to change the size, and I just go from there. So we're just about done here. The only thing that I want to do is get a general idea. Now, we're not going to be painting any walls in the kitchen, but I know this particular carrier is very picky on reference blocks. They want all these reference blocks, even when it doesn't matter, and that's fine. Let's take our reference block and let's just create some cabinets real quick. Now, similar thing to what we discussed before. I can't bring these cabinets. Oh. Now, similar thing to what we discussed before. Oh, here we go. Now, if you notice, I was able to snap the cabinets in, the reference block in. That just goes to show how picky Xactimate could be. So this comes up, we got a 9-foot ceiling. We got about a foot over the cabinets here. So I'll double click here, make sure that my height is set to 8. There we go. Okay, so now let's look at this. We have this little cutout here, okay? Again, we're not going to be painting the wall, so it really doesn't matter, but we could try to do a good job here at creating this cutout wall. So one thing that I'm going to need to do is fix this alignment. Now, I'll fix this alignment by first, let's stretch out our wall a little bit more, like that. Now, I want to bring this wall back because I want to do use my missing wall tool to create a completely missing wall right here and to create a partial missing wall here. But I've already deleted my wall. How do I get it back? Double click the area. Then you'll kind of get this thing and hit delete. Oh, let's try it again. There we go. I'll run that by you one last time. If you delete your wall, but you want it back, don't click on the room and hit delete. Try to click. It won't change anything, but click on where that wall should be, and you'll get just that wall measurement. Then hit the delete button. Then you bring it back. Now here's what I'll do. Let's get a better angle here. So I want a completely missing wall when you walk in, as if we deleted the wall entirely. Now let's look. This is about 3 feet in length, so I'll use my missing wall, the letter M. We'll create something that's 3 feet. Now let's go and manipulate the settings. Double click. Now let's make the height 9. So it's a completely 9-foot up missing wall all the way to the ceiling. Now we're going to do a similar thing over here, but a little bit different. Drop our missing wall in. Again, it's going to show up basically as a 6/8 opening unless you change your settings. So what I'll do now, I'm going to adjust the base height to 4. But before I do that, I'm going to adjust the height. The height of the opening, we're going to make that 5. And that 5-foot opening starts 4 feet from the ground. So let's take a look in 3D mode what that looks like. There you go. So it goes all the way to the ceiling, but it's not all the way to the floor. So I'm just going to make this smaller for a second and copy it, and I'll show you why in a second. Now, I'm going to stretch this all the way out to here. I'm going to stretch it all the way out to the corner. I see there's a little bit left behind. Let's try to get all of it. Still getting that little line. It doesn't matter too much, but there we go. I think that's better. Good enough. So we'll bring it all the way out here. Okay. Now we want to get rid of a little bit more. Call it like 3 feet right there, right? Drop that in. We get about 3 feet, basically just in front of where the cabinets start. Click 3, 2, just make it 3. Get it as close as possible. Okay. Always have a hard time getting this thing to go in. Okay, but we'll go with that. Brings us to 3D mode. We still have this little piece here. That's all right, we'll deal. But there are our openings. Let's make sure we call this cabinets. Beautiful. And that is that. So here's our sketch. We'll jump back over to our written field sketch. Looks about right. The only thing that I'm going to do now, I'm going to jump over here. I'm going to grab our little annotation, copy it, because I don't want to make a whole new one. Put that right in there. Take one of our X's. And then we'll make our water damage. Boom, boom, boom. All over here. And against our front wall. There we go. Save. Time to jump over to our last, the basement. Okay. Basement's going to be pretty simple here. We'll start with our big room, 17.6 by 23. 17.6 by 23. Whoop. There we go. Now I'm going to make this cutout here. Now this long wall, this wall right here comes down 46 feet 10 inches, and it comes out 8.5. So using our square break tool, I'm going to drop it in about right here. I'm not going to press Control or anything like that. Just click and drag until that long wall becomes 46.10. Might have to drag it down. Come on. 46.10. Make sure this is 8.5. 8.5. Boom. All right. Now it really doesn't matter where this room starts. This is our second dining room. Doesn't matter where it starts, so we can just drop it in here. Click and drag square break. Hold the control button down. Grab this middle marker. Bring it out to what? 10.8? Sounds like a plan to me. 10.8. Make sure this is 14.9. There we go. Now, we still have this. Now remember, this is our landing area, this little cutout here. Who remembers how to make this into a room? You just make our wall, click, there you go, divide it. Okay, now we'll drop our staircase in. Staircase tool's right up here. This is going to be simple. Staircase is 6'11" away from the wall. We can put this against the wall all the way to 6'11". See that? Click one. I'm not clicking and holding, I'm just bringing this out. There we go. There's our staircase. Now this little area right here, that's our landing that we did off the dining room upstairs. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to grab this wall, move it over. There we go. I'll delete this wall because there's really not a wall there. Now, let's look at the picture of the staircase. Now you see the staircase right here? There is a kind of a missing wall right here, but the entire staircase doesn't go up. It's just this one little area. So kind of makes things a little difficult for us. There is a feature where you can select this wall and make it so that it's not a full wall going up. See, right now it's just a full wall. You can make it so that if you double click it, it's missing above the stairs, so that you have like this railing going up. But there's really no option to just make part of it. So because it's so small, such a small area, we're just going to leave it as is. No sense in doing anything right there. So let's name this landing. Landing area is what the photo is named. this, of course, we'll get rid of this wall. Select, delete. This is our living room 2. Double click, living room 2. And this is our dining room 2. Okay, let's go back to our sketch real quick. All right, let's look at, so I put these little brackets whenever, see these little brackets here, whenever it's a missing wall. So the letter M, there we go. Click and drag it corner to corner. And then we have doors here, here, and about here, and that's it. Last but not least, we're going to use our annotations. Go back to the first level, we'll grab our little water damage annotation. Drop it right there, somewhere nice. Grab one of our little X's. Back to the basement. Now, where do we have water damage? Just like right here. Nothing crazy. There we go. Save it, as we always do. 3D mode. There's our basement. Go to our first level, 3D mode. There's our first level. And our second level. There we go. And just like that, we've got 3 sketches down in the books. Always hit save a bajillion times, and we got this one done. Now the next step here is the money-making step. All right, and we're going to move over to our estimate. Okay. We're going to take a short break here. All right, 1 second. Okay, we're going to take a short break here. I got to get some production sort of equipment fixed up. Open Q&A at this point, guys. What? Let me check. Let me check everything out. Who's the carrier for the 6-figure adjuster? This one is nationwide, I believe it is. You have access to this particular. I believe I put this particular macro in there. With the 6-figure macro in the adjuster training suite. I will be taking that down though, just because it's hard to, with always changing estimating guidelines, it's tough to always stay on top of that stuff, and they become inaccurate. Get this out of the screen here. So, okay, let me just do that. Okay, so yeah, that's nationwide. What type of photo file program are you using to open and scroll through your pictures as you build your estimate? Man, just Photos, Microsoft, just what was preloaded. That was it. Nothing more complicated than that. Okay, let's see here. All right, we got a couple minutes before we can get started again. Okay, so what's everybody, you guys, if you're watching this right now, drop a comment in. Let me know where you're coming in from, where you're watching, where you're from, who you are. Let me know what's going on. We're going to be jumping over to the actual estimate in just a minute. Just a minute here. All right. Let's see. Let's double check here. All right, grab a drink if you guys are hanging in there with me. I got a full memory card over here, so I'm just dumping everything off of it. Okay, just about done here. Okay. Hey, what's up, Tina? Yeah, Tina, come watch it again. Again, if our Facebook group, these are dropping in our Facebook group, so you can watch them in there. But with any social media group, it'll start to fall behind and become old news. That's why it's important to be subscribed to us, checking us out on the YouTube channel. All of our videos are posted up there. Eventually, I'm going to be taking these Xactimate videos down. So jump on there, check it out, subscribe, show your support. That's what kind of drives me to keep doing this thing. So let me know you guys are out there. We're going to be getting started in just another second. We're going to reset and get over to the next phase of this claim, which is going to be it's the money-making phase. This is where we're going to give them money and we're going to get money. We're going to put our estimate together. All right, just about done here. Sorry for the delay, folks. So open Q&A, man. Come on, where you guys at? What's going on? Who's in Texas right now? I bet nobody in here is in Texas. I'd be curious to see if anybody's watching this in Texas right now with all the large losses that you might be dealing with. I mean, it'd be great, if you're not using it, if you're doing those large losses in Texas and you're not using a macro, dude, I don't even know what your life would be like right now. It's been years since I went in, did a large loss, cherry picking line items. No way. Can't do that. I'd rather be a bartender. I was going to deploy to Texas. I thought about it. I was really going to deploy. I had somebody that was talking to bringing me out there for about $150 an hour. That's my cut. Doing museums and hospitals, sort of, big buildings, sort of things like that. And I was into that idea because those claims will last. they can last years. And if I'm billing $150 an hour, I could do pretty well off that. But other than that, to jump down to, Texas just to snag some high line item large losses, I'm not too enthused about it. I've got these free trainings I'm putting out. I kind of have my plate full, so it wasn't really big. $150 an hour large loss, like super duper large loss, like multi-million-dollar large loss. I can maybe go down there and snag a dozen of those and milk those for a while. But working off a regular fee, doing all those line items, I'll do great, I'm sure, but it'll get in the way of the other stuff that I'm doing. Let's see where we're at here. Almost done. Okay. All right, we're going to be getting started in just another second. So, last chance, if you guys have anything to say, any questions, now is the time. Okay. Here we go. Boom, boom. Okay. Darren, crap to hear about the knee surgery, man. My knee's been messed up. I've got a torn meniscus in my knee. That's pretty recent. So that's been, I'm a runner, and since the beginning of the year, I've had this torn meniscus, and I haven't been able to run, and I haven't been doing a great job at rehabbing it. So it's just been taking forever. But I feel you, man. That sucks. That sucks big time. Okay. Oh, Tina, absolutely. I'll tell you about that. So, all right. So here's the I'll give you all the details on it. So so this free training here, this is a part of, if you're watching us live right now, this is a part of the Xactimate Gold Suite training. So what is that? So for years, I've always had available for sale my six-figure macro, as well as separately my no time notes that I put together, which is really just a set of notes for carriers that like you to list your notes inside of Xactimate's activity report. So I've always had those two different things in there separately for sale. But the one thing I always wanted to do, and what everybody's been pushing me to do, is do Xactimate training. And the big reason behind that is because there are plenty of great Xactimate training courses that are out there. There's a couple big names that are out there too. But what I noticed is that the training itself doesn't really it teaches you Xactimate the software, but it doesn't teach you how to use Xactimate as an adjuster, which makes it very difficult. Even if you're watching this right now and you're Xactimate level 3 certified, don't get me wrong, if you don't have any experience, having that certification is great because it shows that you have a better understanding of the software itself. But make no mistake, I'm here to tell you right now that does not mean that you know how to close claims. It doesn't mean you know how to use Xactimate in the essence of claims. It doesn't. You don't know how to scope, and you don't know how to transcribe what you are seeing in the field into your estimate. Maybe you know how to do a nice roof. Maybe you know how to use a square break and stuff like that, but you don't know how to use it. You don't know how to transcribe the images that you're seeing into the estimate that you're working. And of course, you absolutely do not necessarily know how to use Xactimate efficiently. You just know how to use Xactimate. That's it. And if you're out there, you're in Texas, you've got a large loss, and you don't know how to use Xactimate that efficiently, you can be spending all day or even multiple days working on one single claim, which, hey, if you're going to make $1,000 on that claim, great. And if you can make $1,000, if the idea of making $1,000 off one claim and that's what you did that week and you made $1,000 that week, if that's what blows your hair back, have at it. But that's not my game. I need $1,000 minimum a day. So if you give me a claim that I'm going to make $1,000 off of, I need to make that $1,000 as quickly as possible so I can get on to the next one. If I can make $2,000 in a day, even better. But that's my minimum. So my training, my Xactimate training is geared towards that. How to get the most out of an estimate without being an overzealous public adjuster or overzealous contractor, but how to get the policyholder what they deserve by mastering the use of Xactimate. And at the end of the day, your skill in doing that is going to get you paid because you're going to have a bigger estimate. You're going to get paid more for the work that you performed. And part of that is using a macro. It's using a macro and it's having great training in Xactimate, practical training in Xactimate. So what we're developing is the Xactimate GOLD Training Suite, which is the macro, it's our no time notes, and it's our practical and fundamental Xactimate training. The practical training is videos just like this, where I'm taking you through an actual inspection and I'm showing you how to put it all together in an efficient way. And I'm going to load you up with that material. And not only load you up on the front end with that material, with hours and hours and hours of material that you can sit and watch out of the comfort of your own home, but I'm going to give you lifetime access to that. So right now, what we have, we're cutting that out. Now, some of the big names in this industry, the training that they put together is over $1,000. I'm not going to drop their names. You can figure them out on your own. The biggest name that's out there that a lot of people talk about, he's $1,500 a pop. You got to go there to watch it, be a part of it. So you got to get airfare, you got to get your hotel, you got to clear off your schedule for a couple of days, and you got to pay $1,500 for it. And then after you leave, that's a wrap. You're gone. This is lifetime access. Come as you go. Watch it naked. Watch it in your underwear. Watch it while you're on vacation. Watch it wherever you want, but it's there. It's there for you to learn at your time. And what's better is that this is an early adopter program. So I'm actively developing it right now. Me and my small team, we're putting this together right now. So because of that, we're not going to charge you full price for it. Right now, it's less than half of what you're going to pay later. It's going to be later. It's going to be more consistent, more competitive with the pricing that's out there right now, which is somewhere $1,250, $1,500, something like that. But as an early adopter, you get the lifetime access for way less. Now, the caveat of that is that everything's not going to be right there in front of you right now. Basically, what we're doing, I'm taking the sales that are coming in from these early adopter sales, and that money is basically just being used as A, the time that I've lost working, and B, mostly just B, the editing costs behind all of this, and then the development costs. Because every video that I put together, each claim is about approximately 3 hours worth of material. So I have to have an editor go through, edit all that stuff. That's 3 hours worth of work just by watching the video. But then you have to go back, cut out the stuff like that, and the dead air, and just kind of make it more viewer friendly. And then from there, we got to give it over to the development team. They got to put it on in the LMS and the learning management system, make it so that it can be viewed nicely. So there's a bit of a costly process to it. So the early adopter money kind of helps feed this thing. So by feeding it, you're going to have lifetime access to it. You're going to be able to absorb everything that's in there now, do your claims, do your job, come back later. There's a little bit more on there. Absorb that, come back later. Price goes up, not for you, for everybody else. Absorb more content, start doing your thing, and kind of grow, and we grow all together. So link in the description for that, the Xactimate GOLD Training Suite. I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be the best training that's out there. Not by a little bit either. It's going to be the absolute best because we're putting it out there. We're giving you lifetime access, and I am loading you up on the front end. Xactimate level, we're going to do our own certification on it because the Xactimate Level 3 certification is garbage. Don't get me wrong, you should get it if you don't have any experience because it's something you can add to your resume and it's recognizable. But make no mistake, it doesn't mean squat. If you came to me and you said, hey, I don't have any experience, but I have an Xactimate Level 3 certification, I'm not even going to pay attention to that. That you should. The Xactimate Level 3 certification to me is the minimum, is the bare minimum. That's what you need to have. Now I know you know how to use the software. You need an Xactimate Level 3 certification and you need a license. License you need to legally work. Xactimate Level 3 certification, you need that to convince me that you know how to use the software that you're mainly going to be using while you're doing your job. Great. You convince me you know how to do your job. Show me you can do your job effectively. That's what this training is all about. Whew. All right. So we're going to get working on this. We got everything we need. We're back up. Testing. Here we go. Okay. Give me 2 seconds. Let's get our things in order here. Where are we at? Okay. So we're going to be resetting here. Guys, if you're watching this right now and you're digging this, you got nothing else going on, and you're just taking in some free training, living the dream, do me a favor. Share this video. Share it wherever you can. Share it in all the adjuster Facebook groups you might be in. Share it in the LinkedIn groups that you're in. Share it on your LinkedIn page. All right. Let's get some more people to this. Now we're in the meat of it. We had the veggies. All right. We had our potato. Now we're into the meat. This is where it really goes down here. Okay. So let me grab something to drink real quick. Now it is kind of cool. You can see the green screen in the background here. When we edit these videos, you get to see my face a little bit more, but the background's missing here. It's pretty sweet. Oh yeah. All right, who's ready? You guys ready to get this going? I'll answer that question real quick. Tina, why am I not using mobile to sketch on site? I'm not comfortable with it for a couple reasons. Two big reasons. I've used it before, and I'm slower in the field with it because I'm using stylus, I'm using my finger, stuff like that. If that technology changes, I'm definitely going to be interested in trying something new out. But I'm slower in the field. Now that it's kind of offset by having to sit later and then put it in again, sure. But I'm slower in a place where I don't want to be slow. When I'm actually inside of the inspection, that's where people ask questions. That's where a policyholder wants to know what. Oh, can I take a look at that? Oh, wow, that technology these days, and it creates something else. Now, if you're in one room, you do your sketch in that room, and then the insured says, oh, yeah, wait, and then this damage over here too. And it clearly is not related. And you're being lied to. You can't tell them they're lying to you. You just ask them questions. But now it's kind of like, hey, wait a minute, how come you didn't sketch that room? How come you didn't do your little tablet thing in there? I just don't like it. I'm just a little uncomfortable. It really doesn't take me much time to do this. These training videos, I drag these things out because I'm talking the whole time, but I'm usually pretty quick with it. Not to say on small losses, easy losses, yeah, maybe it just kind of makes more sense to have a little tablet, boom, 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 done. That's it. But some of these ones, I won't be in and out. I don't ask very many. I ask the question. I go in there. I let the policyholder tell me what's going on. I let them get everything off their chest. I ask this, basic questions about it. I'm out. That's it. Gone. I'm on to the next one. I got 8 appointments that day. I'm sorry. Your cousin's wedding looks like it was an amazing time, but I don't have time to talk about it. That's my feel for it. All right, guys. So we're gonna get rocking and rolling here. So if you are just joining me right now or just coming in recently, my name is Jeremy Rettig. I'm with Adjuster University, and today's Macro Monday. Today we're going to be training Xactimate, but I'm not here to teach you spiral staircases or how to use Xactimate in ways that you're never really going to need to know. I'm here to show you how to practically use it to effectively and efficiently close more claims at a faster rate. Now, we're going to be streaming today from our Facebook page, so go like and follow Adjuster University, the Facebook page, so you can stay on top of all of our free training. And while you're over there, go check out the Claims Adjusters Success Network. It's a private group. Get in the room so you can be surrounded by other like-minded adjusterpreneurs. Now, while you're at it, go over to the Adjuster University YouTube channel where we keep all of our live streaming replays. But remember to subscribe to our channel so you can get notified whenever we go live. Now, these training sessions are super simple, but they can be very long. So it's important to follow us on YouTube so you can come back later. Each training is divided into 3 parts: photos, sketch, and estimating. We just finished the photos and sketch for the current lesson, and now we're moving over to estimating. So during our review of photos, we normally go through and label them together. We describe them together. We'll refer to my field sketch of the affected areas and possibly the unaffected rooms, create a sketch inside of Xactimate. Then we'll transcribe all of the damages into our estimate before finishing with a beautiful, reader-friendly, super sexy estimate, all thanks to our 6-figure macro. This is how I believe that Xactimate should be taught. If you are inclined to agree and feel like you've learned a lot from your time here, then you need to sign up to Adjuster University's Xactimate GOLD Training Suite. Our Xactimate training is in beta right now, which means that it's in development. So you'll have lifetime access to training videos just like this as they are developed, edited, and published. But because it's in development, you're going to get a massive discount. Other in-depth training courses that are out there right now from some of the industry's top names are going to run you over $1,000. But as an early adopter, you're going to be paying significantly less, and you'll always be able to return and rewatch as many times as you like with lifetime access. Congratulations, you do not need to go to Dallas, Texas to learn Xactimate. So check out the link in the description of this video and become an early adopter. Check out our training videos that are on there and start using the 6-figure macro in our no-time notes immediately upon becoming an early adopter. We no longer sell the 6-figure macro or no-time notes on their own. Instead of having to pay just for that, you are getting everything. Okay, so we're going to get started here in the fun part. Who's ready for the fun? Okay. So Here we are, my friends, and away we go. All right. So we just finished our sketch here. So now it's time to move to the protein of the plate, our estimate items. As always, we kind of save a couple times. Now we are in the six-figure macros estimate tree. Now this one is a little bit different from what it normally looks like, and I had to kind of move things around with this one and make it a little bit different. I don't personally like the way this looks, but it's the way that the carrier wants it. And if the carrier is paying the bill, then I just shut up and smile. All right, so let's jump up. As always, we have our top-down approach. So here we go. This is what we're looking at here. Here's what I see in this photo. I see some ceiling that was removed by the contractor. I see that the drywall is butted against this brown wall. It's butted against this gold wall. So when you put the drywall back up there, you're going to apply joint compound, which means that there's going to be some gobbledygook on these two walls. So we're going to need to paint those walls. Also, we're going to need to play around with the drapery that's here. We're going to need to manipulate some content that's here. We're going to need to mask a ceiling fan up there. Okay, and that's basically it in this room. So let's do that really quick. Okay, let's see here. All right. Okay, let's get started. We're going to go over to the living room macro. We're going to copy all of our line items. We're going to dump them in. All we're really looking at right here is just replacing some drywall. That's it. Replacing some drywall, but we're going to seal a much larger area with a stain blocker just to get rid of those stains. Now, first things first, we are going to manipulate our contents. We're going to call it a large room. I'm going to stretch this out. As always, the big two things that we look for when we're developing, when we're putting our line items in are the calculations, how we're calculating, or the number that we're putting in, and then the unit, because they both go together. All right, so we're going to move the contents in and out. We're going to manipulate some drapery here. All right, these are 3 independent drapes. So we're going to detach and reset 3 drapes, and that's that. This particular carrier, they want in every room this residential final cleaning, so we're going to leave that in there. We leave that in our macro. If they didn't like that particular line item, we would remove that from this carrier-specific macro. Oh, my apologies. I don't have it on the screen here. My fault. There we go. Okay. So, all right. Antimicrobial. We're not putting an antimicrobial on there because we already had mitigation done. Now, we're not going to mess with the insulation in there either because it wasn't removed. So, that brings us to a labor minimum. Now, there are 2 ways to calculate labor minimums when you're working in Xactimate. Okay. You can either use Xactimate's automatic calculation of labor minimums, or you can manually do it. Personally, I think it makes way more sense to use Xactimate's automatic calculation, which to do that is just this labor minimums tab. And if you jump over here, it's going to be pretty crazy right now because I have all these line items in. From here, you get basically select which ones you think you would need, and it automatically calculates for you. But some carriers don't like that. They want you to use the line item inside the estimate. This particular one, that's what they like. So we give them what they like. Now, what that basically does for you, if you have a home and it doesn't, and it's, let's say you're doing a little bit of drywall repair, it's not a lot. If you were to just use a single line item, just to replace like 16 square feet of drywall, as you can tell right here, really comes out to about $50. That is not a realistic number for a contractor or some sort of home repair specialist to actually get the job done. So you would use a labor minimum. And what that does in this particular case it will start it off at $483, and you would switch your material to material only, and then it would come out to an extra $9.21. So instead of about $50, you have about $500. The only time that you really wouldn't use that is if you have a whole lot of drywall repair that would exceed that amount. And that's where it's great to have that automatic calculation, and you don't have to do the math yourself. It'll tell you. But this particular carrier wants that. Now, here's what I do know. We don't have very much drywall repair throughout this entire estimate. So I know that this is going to be applicable. So we're going to replace, how much does that look to you? Maybe about like 6 square feet, something like that. We'll call that 6 square feet of drywall right there. Beautiful. Get rid of these line items. So we have our drywall back up. Just imagine in your mind, you got your drywall back up, 6 square feet. We're going to protect the floor. We're going to mask a large ornate light fixture. That is our fan right up there. We're going to get rid of these other ones. Okay, so save. We're going to prime the new drywall, okay? 6 feet, 6 square feet. But I also want to do a stain blocker, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. Here's what you got to know. When you're actually making these repairs, they're going to use the same primer. I mean, let's be real. They're using the same primer. But a carrier, in their infinite wisdom, is going to say, no, we prime with the PVA, PNT, S-. You can use the S plus stain blocker for the stained area. So we'll go ahead and do that. Call it 50. Okay. Now we're going to paint the walls. 2 coats. Add a plus sign at the end. That gives us 2 coats, 2 colors. Because we really have 3 colors, but there is no 3 option. So we'll do that. So paint the entire room. We got the drywall. We got the masking of the floor, masking of the light fixture. We're playing with these. We're manipulating our contents. That's it. Am I right? We got nothing else. Skip all the way to the bottom. Delete all these line items. This is it. Moving the contents, playing with the drapery, cleaning up when we're done. Drywall going back up. We're not touching the insulation. Now, we're not touching the insulation really for 2 reasons. We're not touching the insulation reason number 1, the mitigation didn't touch it. We're not touching it number 2 because it's not actually owned by the insurer. It's a townhome. But that's a whole different course. So we're masking that. We're putting some primer up on the new drywall, priming over the stains that are dry, and we're painting everything. 2 coats, 2 colors, 18 hundo. Moving on to the next room. Now, next room's a little bit different. We got faux paint. We got a little bit of damage to the ceiling, a little bit of damage to the wall, and that wall is a faux paint. It's a little bit more expensive. So let's do that together. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to utilize these same line items. Recycling. Copy. Now I do that by, I'll select something, hold control down, AC, air conditioning. Drop it in here, control V, pastes. Not going to bother with the content. There's really no contents in here. There's no drapery in here either. So I'll get rid of that and just do our final cleaning. Labor minimums. You never use the same labor minimum multiple times in an estimate. Get rid of that. Now normally I always estimate 5/8 on the ceiling, 1/2 inch on the walls. This particular one, they want you to use 1/2 inch unless you can prove otherwise. This might be, no, this looks like it's probably 1/2 inch anyway, so we'll leave that. So get a general idea of how many square feet we're going to need. About 5, 10, I don't know, call it 16. There we go. Okay, 16 square feet of new drywall going up. Do we need to mask any light fixtures? Yeah, we got a little light fixture right there. And we got a second one over here, 2 vanities. I'm not going to call this a large ornate. I'm just going to call it a large. Put 2. Okay. So we are going, now here's the thing. We're going to be repainting the walls here. But we're not going to be able, it doesn't make sense to just paint faux over faux. Because then the old faux may show up through the old faux, except for then this area here. It's going to look wonky. So I'm going to use that same stain blocker to make sure everything's covered up. And just all I got to do, here's how we'll do this. Check this out. We have we're still using the two different primers. We're going to prime the ceiling, this little area here, which is not faux. We're going to prime that, let's call it 2 square feet. But then for the walls, we're going to do all the walls so that all of this faux paint gets primed over so we have a blank canvas. Okay? Now, we're going to do 2 separate line items for our paint. Because we're going to paint the ceiling one color, paint 2 coats, then we're going to paint the walls faux. You look up faux, you'll get it. Just like that right there. Now, the one thing that even as I'm doing this, I contemplated is whether or not this faux paint has a marbled look. And if you see this little line right here, that to me kind of gives it like a marbled look. Now, 2-part basically means that there's 2 different colors, right? 3-part is a little bit more complex, but look at this, the marbling. See the marbling, how it has that sort of vein going through it? There's that vein. This is marbling. So this adds a little bit more. It's almost twice the amount. Beautiful. There we go. Almost $2,700 right here. Just to redo the walls. Beautiful, right? Okay, got that. And that's basically it. Let's take another look at the room. Is there anything in here that we should do? Here's what I'm going to do. Looking at the light fixture here, you have the marbling appearance behind it. If we just mask this light fixture, we're really not going to be able to get that paint in the artistic manner that it's in right there. Okay? It's also going to be a little bit difficult to do it with this mirror right there. So we're going to get rid of this line item to mask the light fixtures. And we're going to detach light fixture. And then we're going to detach bathroom mirror. There we go. 2 light fixtures. And then for the bathroom mirror, we're going to do a little algebra. 2 times, and then in parentheses, the width of the mirror, let's call it 3 feet. By the height of the mirror, it's called 4 feet. End parentheses. There we go, 24. Take these 2 line items, drive them up where they're supposed to be, and the prep. I'm going to take this little F9 note, put it back in there, and there we go. Not bad, right? Okay, and just like that, this room by itself, $3,300 approximately. So that brings us to this first level. Now, there's a little strategy that I like to follow when I'm doing something like this, because we got damages a little bit everywhere. Oftentimes, I would like to, if there's one room that's more affected than any other room by far, I like to start in that room because that gives me the ability to start to recycle my line items. And on the first floor, our most severely affected room, that's this room here, because we got ceiling damage, we got wall damage, we got flooring damage. So we're going to start in there. First, let's make sure that our line item or our rooms are in the same order as our photographs. As you can see on the first floor, we go dining room, living room, kitchen, office. Dining room, living room, kitchen, office. Now the foyer is not, there are no photos of the foyer. We'll move that. We'll keep it at the bottom. I don't like doing that. I really wish I didn't do that. I should have just took one photo of the foyer. But we'll just leave it at the bottom there. Okay. So let's start in our office. We'll go into our macro line items, dump them in the office. Here's what we're looking at. The entire ceiling and half the perimeter of the ceiling. Right there. Let's move our contents, and then final cleaning. That's all we need. When you're going through your estimate, utilize your hotkeys as much as possible. When I want to select all these line items, I'm holding the shift button down, clicking down here. I want to really go down here, and then delete key on your keyboard. I'm not going to remove any more drywall. I'm just going to replace, and I'm going to replace C for ceiling plus, and then in parentheses, a little algebra, I'm going to put perimeter of the ceiling, PC, divided by 2. And that's half of it. There we go. Now we're going to mask the floor here. Now, was there a light fixture in here? Doesn't appear that there was. We can get rid of all that. Now, what will we be priming? We're going to prime all the new drywall, 140 by 39. We know that quantity because it's right here. And we're going to paint everything 2 coats, 2 colors though. Add the little plus sign at the end of the selector code. So that completes our estimate of the ceiling and the walls. Okay, so now one thing that we can do here, we're going to paint the window openings. We'll jump back to our estimate, or our bathroom, and potentially our bedroom in just a second and add this in. But we'll come back. But for right now, the other damage that we have is the hardwood. Hardwood's buckled here. So here's what I'm looking for. Right here. The base trim. There's a base shoe on it. So I want to remove this quarter round, rather. I want to remove this quarter round so that we can effectively remove the hardwood and sand it without having to just try to get close to it. It gives the floor people a whole lot more flexibility, and that's what they want to do. And this quarter round is probably not going to be able to be saved, so we'll consider that as well. So bring this down. We'll go down to our hardwood items, oak flooring. I'm going to remove and replace. Let's call it a third of the room. F divided by 3, F divided by 3, F divided by 3, replacing the flooring. F, we want to sand and finish everything. There we go. And then add for dustless sanding, just kind of a standard. I don't even know why it's separate. There you go. Now, one thing that I neglected to do, and we'll do it right now, is add something for this base trim here. We already deleted those line items, so let's go back to our macro. And towards the bottom of the ceiling and walls, here's our base trim section. So I want to trim, I want to mask the trim. I want to remove and replace the quarter round. I'm going to seal and paint the quarter round, and I'm going to paint that baseboard itself 1 coat. Copy those line items, go back to our estimate, drop them in at the bottom here. There we go. So this line item here, the masking linear foot, we know it's linear foot because it's under the unit column. It's measured by the perimeter of the floor, which is correct. Now we want to make sure that we're removing and replacing all the quarter round, sealing and painting the quarter round, and painting the rest of the baseboard because it's all together one shot. Now that base trim runs continuously into this double door opening. And you know what? I'm looking at this double door and I've got a feeling that I made an error. Let's go back to our sketch real quick. First level, I did not give them a double door opening. Let's fix that. Delete, D for door, click and drag. There's our double door. Let's make it 4 feet. Beautiful. Okay. Would that have been caught? Probably not, but it just makes our work product that much more accurate. So this base trim runs continuously with the door trim. So I'm going to paint the door trim 1 coat as well. There we go. Get rid of the rest. Now we're going to be sanding and refinishing all of the floors throughout. So wherever there's a doorway that I'm going to be sanding beneath, I'm going to detach and reset that as well. Detach, reset, slab only. Move this to where it should be. And we have 2 door slabs, so we'll drop that in. Now dialing back, let's jump back for a second. This window opening, same color as the walls, and we're painting the walls. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to detach a blind, and then I'm going to paint a large window opening / jamb 2 coats. And that's in the door and window section. We'll just leave that right where it is. Save it up. There we go. Now, we've got this room done. Now, also, one thing to pay attention to. Earlier, I used a drywall labor minimum. I wasn't really thinking about this room. I thought we had very minor drywall repairs. So this line item here already comes out to almost $400. So I can't really justify that anymore. I don't want to switch this over to material because then it's really not that much, and that combined with the other line item, it's probably not going to make sense. So I'm just going to leave that at replace, the action code, and I'm going to jump back up to our bedroom. I'm going to get rid of this drywall item, labor minimum, switch material to replace, do the same inside the bathroom. It's going to drive the estimate down a little bit there, but it makes more sense in the end. If they see that you did that, if they see that you used a labor minimum in one room because it was a very minor repair, and then took a different approach in another room, it doesn't seem very good. So there we go. So we have our office. So now we can start to recycle. Let's go over to our, what's the first room? The dining area. Okay, we had separation in the crown molding there. Not a huge deal. And then this ceiling runs continuous into the dining room, or I'm sorry, into the living room where we know we're going to be painting the ceiling. So what I'm looking at here, I'm just going to paint I'm going to be painting the ceiling. I'm going to be painting the crown, and I'm going to be doing a little bit, I'll even detach some of this crown right here. So that's right there, and then we're going to paint the brown walls, which we're going to manually calculate that on our own. So recycle these line items into the dining room. Here we go. Let's manipulate the content in a large room. We're not going to detach any doors. We're going to remove and replace some drywall. Action code, ampersand. Let's call it 6. Nothing big. We're going to prime the 6 new square feet of drywall. All right, now we're going to paint. I don't want to paint everything. I just want to paint these brown walls. So here's how we're going to do that. Let's jump over to our sketch. And we're going to calculate. We're going to add these walls up. We got a 10-4 wall. Right now I'm just jotting this down. An 11-8 wall. Okay, then we have the other side of this wall here, which really doesn't come out to much. You go figure. Let's put in there. You know what? We'll keep it simple. We'll just call it another 10-4 wall. Okay. So 10-4, 11-8, 10-4. Go back to estimate items. Oh, dining room. There we go. All right. So here's how we're going to calculate that. We know we're going to be painting the ceiling, so we put C. But we want to add to that C plus, and then in parentheses, we're going to do 3, because we have 3 walls, multiplied by 10-4 plus 10-4 plus 11-8. In parentheses, there's a calculation right there. Now, these line items here for the quarter round, we're going to leave those in because we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be sanding and refinishing the floor in here as well, so we'll leave those. Now, we're not going to be replacing any hardwood in here, though, so we're going to get rid of our replacement items, just leave the sand and finish line items. Now, are there any door casings that we should consider while we're doing this whole big area? Absolutely. Now, you can't see it too well here, but this door right over here, this is the door that leads in to our, right here, to our entry to the basement. So I'm going to be detaching and resetting this door frame, and I'm going to paint not only the door casing on this side, but I'm going to do the same thing on the other side as well. So let's go ahead and get that line item to detach and reset the door back in here. Put it where it should go. Okay, so door frame number 1, door casing number 2. 17 plus 17 is 34. Paint the casing. There we go. So we're detaching and resetting, not one, oh no, just one door. And then we're catching the door trim on both sides, painting the door trim on both sides. Now what about the window? We're going to be painting the walls, and this is another window opening. So again, we'll detach and reset one blind and paint one window opening, just like that, and that's done. Now, recycle. Recycle again. Here's our foyer area that I mentioned before. So we'll just jump over the foyer right now. All we're doing here is just painting the ceiling. We're not getting we're not adding any complications to this. We're just going to paint the ceiling real quick. Mask the floor. For the ceiling, we just want C for the ceiling. We don't want 2 colors. We just want the 1. As you can see, there's no hardwood, so we're not doing any of that. So we get rid of everything else. There we go. All right, what's next? That brings let's get our crown molding in here. So here's what we'll do. We're going to detach. Let's go over to our macro. Somewhere right above our base trim is going to be our crown moldings. So I want to mask the crown molding. I want to detach and reset, and then I'm just going to paint it. Now, when you are dealing with base trim, sometimes you'll get the option for oversize. The way Xactimate calculates that is if it is 6 inches or more. This appears to be 6 inches. So instead of just the regular crown molding line item, I'm going to look for oversized. See if we can find it. Can't find it this way. Detach crown over. All right, maybe there is no line item to detach and reset a larger one. That's fine. That long strip is probably 8 feet long. And then for the paint, there definitely is a line item for oversized. There you go. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to paint the entire perimeter of the ceiling. Because I know that in the living room, I'm also doing some additional crown molding manipulation. So we'll just leave that as is. We're going to go through the entire area. All right, so that's that. Now, another thing to note, what I forgot to put in there was to mask some light fixtures. So we got this light fixture right there. We got a small one, small one. Where else? Anywhere? That looks like it. So let's mask a light. Mask a large light. We got 1 large, 2 small. Where'd they go? 1 large, 2 small. And there we go. Look at that. We're already up to 33 in the dining room. 3,300 in the dining room. All right, here we go. Living room. Here's what I'm looking at. We got one ceiling fan, large ornate light fixture, staining on the ceiling. We're going to block that up. We got the separation with the crown. You can fix that a little bit of caulk and paint. That's that, and then it goes into the kitchen. So let's recycle. Living room. I'm going to give it a little bit more of a content manipulation allowance. We're not detaching and resetting any doors. We're not removing or replacing any drywall. We're going to use a stain blocker, switch that minus to a plus. We're going to put it up to, I don't know, how about 12? And we're only painting the ceiling. We don't want two colors. Get rid of this plus sign. All right, then we're going to mask the perimeter of the ceiling. We're going to only mask one light fixture, and we're going to make it a large ornate. We're not going to detach and reset any crown, but we'll paint the crown. And then we're going to do our basic quarter round replacement, painting that up, doing the floors. Then we're going to look at our door openings, okay? Door openings, we only have this one right here. Oh, and then we have the sliding door right there. So we're going to mask 19 feet for the double door, 20 feet for the sliding door. We're going to paint those 39. That's it. We're not painting the wall, so I'm not messing with any window openings. Get rid of that. Last but not least is the kitchen. We're only painting the ceiling in the kitchen. What other room did we only paint the ceiling? The foyer. Oh. Sorry about that. So last but not least, the only other room, we have to paint the ceiling in the kitchen. So what other room did we use to paint only the ceiling? That was the foyer. So we're going to recycle those, just copy them. There's no light fixtures or anything like that. Just dump it in. There we go. Save it up. Let's move it. We did this room. That brings us to the basement. Basement's pretty simple here. Just had a couple of these suspended ceiling tiles removed, 2x2s. That's what I'm looking at. Now, I generally would want to evaluate these at a high grade suspended ceiling tiles, but I'm going to have a lot of flack by doing that with this carrier. So unfortunately, we can only do the standard grade. Now, a little bit of bubbling to the paint on here. So I'll throw a little bit of drywall allowance out there. Really could just sand it down and it'll be fine, but we'll throw some drywall in there. It makes more sense. And then just some staining to the carpet. Carpeting was dry, it's just staining. General rule of thumb, unless you can have any obvious damage that's above just staining, if you have more than that, you can replace it. If it's wet at the time of the inspection, you can rationalize that it possessed a mildew-type odor, mildew-like odor, and replace it based on that. In this case, it's just a little bit stained. I'm not going to write to replace it. So let's go back to our line items. And again, we're going to start in the most significantly affected room. We're going to manipulate the content a little bit. We're going to do a final clean. Now what's not in the macro here are suspended ceiling tiles. I just really don't come across them all that much, but that's okay. We'll drop it in. We'll come back and put that in. We'll give them a quick little 4 square feet of drywall, just something to get by. Okay, we're going to protect the floor. We don't need to mask anything. We're going to prime the 4 new square feet. We're going to paint the walls. And that's that for the ceiling and the walls until we come back a little bit later with the suspended ceiling tiles. We'll save that to the end. Now for the carpet, all we're going to be doing, we're just going to clean the carpet. Just got a little stain on it. Okay, we got that. And that's it. We're going to take this all the way down. We don't need anything else. Oh, actually, take that back. One thing that I confirmed is that this outlet right here stopped working. Drop an outlet line item in there. Now it's only 20 bucks for a new outlet, but I could rationalize bringing in an electrician to do that. Electrical labor minimum. We switch the remove and replace ampersand in the actions column to material only. So now we have material and labor. Get rid of these remaining line items here. There we go. Nice and easy. Now suspended ceiling tile, I want the 2x2s. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to split this into 2 separate line items because we're missing about 1, 2, 3, about 3 tiles altogether. Each tile is 4 square feet, so 4 times 3 is 12. So here's what I do. I'm going to remove the remaining tiles, ceiling minus what's already removed, 12, and I'm going to replace all of them. Take these 2 line items, move them to a place where they're a little bit more appropriate. So there we go. So now we're looking at, we are repairing, we're replacing all of the suspended ceiling tiles, minor drywall repair right about here, painting the walls, and then we're cleaning the carpet. Okay. Now what I said earlier, I'm going to go and try to replace all the ceiling tiles throughout here so that they can not match, but maintain a reasonably uniform appearance. I'm going to do that not only in this living area, but I'm also going to do it in the landing area. Now in the landing area, there was no content or anything like that. So I'm going to get rid of my content manipulation, make sure that my remove and replace line item is selected under the actions column, remove and replace the entire ceiling. I'm not going to paint the walls in here. We're just going to put that. I'm not painting the walls because it is separated right here. And I feel like I'll be getting a little bit. They can match the walls. They can get a color paint that'll really match right there. It'll be fine. The ceiling tiles may be a different story. So that's my rationale right there. We're going to clean the carpet. We're not going to clean the carpet in only part of the room. We're going to clean the carpet in the entire room. We're going to recycle those line items. So also paste them into the living room. And I'm going to manipulate the contents here to just a large room. Put it up there. There is a note that I like to use. These line items below reflect the cost to prepare the room for repair. I like to drop that in before. Bam, there we go. Save. So there's the remaining room here. So for debris removal, think about what debris we're actually removing. We are really just removing some drywall and some hardwood. That's really it. Not a lot. So I'm just going to give them a pickup truck. There you go. Now, in the 6-figure macro, you have the ability to create a little checklist here. Just the folders. Just naming folders. And I know I have my rules. They don't like depreciation on masking. My claim rep should be set to the actual claim rep. I have a special estimator tag that has certain information that this carrier wants. They don't want depreciation on repairs. I need to refer to the date that the building was manufactured to leave a note regarding asbestos if applicable. They don't want O&P to apply to any line items that are water mitigation related. And this one's a little bit more difficult to explain, but these are all my notes here that I know to go through before I submit this thing. So the last but not least is this guy. So we're going to see if we can find it by looking this up. It's just a wine cooler. So here's what we'll do. This line item, this is a user-generated line item. What you do, if you search for user bid, that's it right there. And what's special about this is that it's not a part of any other trade. Like these other bid items you'll find, like doors bid item. This is related to the doors category or drywall category or fees category. User is just user. It's kind of like whatevs. So for the content item, again, it doesn't show up like this. It's just a part of the macro. I'm going to put Hoyer, however you're supposed to, what is it? Hoyer, I don't know how you pronounce it. Wine cooler. There you go. So we've got that. Now, exact contents could really help you out putting this stuff together. I don't use exact contents unless I really have to. Sometimes I get upset with their pricing. So what you could do in a separate window, you could look at the model number, okay? If you look up the product and the model number, sometimes you will be able to find exactly what you're looking for, unless it's no longer in production. Now and that's often the case. Now, what you try to do is get, in my opinion, is get the brand name first. So I want to try to get that same brand. I don't want just a standard mini fridge. I want a wine cooler. So what I'm doing now in a separate window, and I'll bring it over, is to find something that really reflects it. I looked up the product and the model number, and I'm really not finding anything. There's nothing here that reflects exactly what we're looking at. There's these beverage refrigerators, but these are really for cans. They're not for bottles. So I don't want that. So I'm just going to go with what I can. We'll go, this one looks very similar here to what we're dealing with, and this is what we're going to go with. So here's what I'll do. I'll take this product name. I'll copy it. Get this off the screen. I'll edit this. For the match, I'll put the name, and then I'll go and paste the web URL. I get this long thing, but I know that the real URL starts at the right before the very first question mark. There we go. Now I want to set the price here. It's $246.68. So now here's what's important to remember. Replace price. If I put $246.68, the problem is it won't depreciate properly. Now he told me that this cooler is 3 years old. So I'll give it a 10-year lifespan. So I want to depreciate 30%. Now watch, if I drop this down, depreciation to percent, and I set it to 30, nothing happens. No depreciation. Why is that? It's set to 30, but it's not depreciating 30%. The reason why is because you don't want to use this right here. Open this little eye. And see, it automatically comes down here, but I don't want that. That should be 0. I don't even know what that really means. I want the material. The material itself is worth $246.98. I'm sorry, this should be 98. Now, if I click OK and update it, now it properly, because the depreciation is going to be set on the material. So there you go. So I want to make sure now, before I move forward, that all these are set to dwelling. There's this one. I think this one line item is the only one that's not set to dwelling. So we switch that over. There we go. Oh, it switched back. Having your coverages improperly set is one of the most common mistakes that an adjuster will make, and it will mess the claim up. It's a rookie move, and you shouldn't be doing that. So then from here, you would go through and set your depreciation. Now again, a couple quick rules that I need to follow before I end this lesson. There's no depreciation on repairs, no depreciation on masking. So what is a repair? A repair is very simple. Well, the way that insurance companies will see what a repair is. Easiest way to tell that'll get through file reviews is just how it's calculated. So if you are just replacing some of the drywall, 6, not W for walls, not C for ceiling, just 6. That's a repair. If you're doing all of something like painting, although we're only prime in certain areas, we're painting all of something. We'll depreciate that. So we're going to depreciate that by 5 years. Okay. Go to the dining room. Well, what are we really doing all of down here? It's just the paint. We're painting all of the stuff down here, and then we are sanding and refinishing. That's really it. Even in the office, we're not replacing the entire floor. We're just repairing part of it. So I'm going to highlight all of these. And what I could really do is look to find which ones have C, F, or W here. And then I'll select those. Holding down the control button, I can select all of them. Multi, this is for that dining room. It shows up a little bit different. Make sure we have all of our paint. Every paint line item is painting all of something, not part of something. So there we go. And then we got our sanding and refinishing. We'll just do everything 5. The floor, I'm pretty sure, is more than 5. We'll just keep it at 5. Okay, suspended ceiling tiles. Okay, we're replacing all of it. And then we're replacing this outlet. I'll select just that outlet. And then we're painting all the walls. Same thing. Global changes. Depreciation. Depreciate by age. Set it to 5. There we go. So we've got that. Anytime, like what's happening right now, my Xactimate is starting to run very slow. Whenever you get the feeling that Xactimate starts to lag, jump to the top left corner and save. It's a sign that something may happen. Xactimate's starting to think a little too hard. So, and there we go. And that's going to end this lesson. There's your crash, but thankfully I hit save a few times. So, that's going to end that one. We're basically at the end anyway. So from there, the only thing that we had left to go over was really just repricing the estimate. We repriced the estimate because we're using the 6-figure macro and it uses line items based on the separate price list. So we always reprice it to make sure that everything made sense. But that's it. So that estimate, I would say off the top of my head, is probably going to net somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000. So it's not a bad little thing. We did 3 floors, townhome, a little bit of drywall, a little bit of hardwood, and we got that thing wrapped up. So I'll catch you guys on the next lesson. Okay. All right. Let's jump back here. All right, how's everybody doing? Who's hanging with me right now? All right, that was, it's always nice to predict an Xactimate crash before it happens. Always a nice little thing. All right, guys, I'm going to be ending this live stream. I'm going to be coming back in a short while to do the next one. But before I do, I'm going to leave this open for about just 1 more minute. So if you have a question for me before we roll, drop it in now before I wrap this thing up. Okay, just a couple more seconds. All right, looks good. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Hey, listen, if you are sitting at home today, you're not doing anything, I'm going to be doing these videos all through the day. So from here, I just got to do a little technical work on my end, get this pushed out of the way. I'm going to actually finish up this claim, get this thing submitted before I get another nasty email about it. And then I'm gonna open up another one. The next one that I have is a similar one. It's got some hardwood in there. Man, I've got a bunch. I got a bunch of these things. So if you're not doing anything today, today's a good day to do some free training. Sit with me, grab a beer, grab a coffee, do what you got to do. Hang out. Let everybody know about this. This is free training. You spend $1,000 elsewhere, you can hang out with me today for free. So, guys, thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you're not already a member, become a member of the Claims Adjuster Success Network on Facebook. That's our Facebook group. These videos are being posted on there. But of course, these videos are also being posted on our YouTube channel. So go to YouTube and look for Adjuster University. You'll find this dirty mug somewhere on there. So make sure you subscribe there and make me feel good that people are actually watching this. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you in probably about like